If I woke up tomorrow with 30 extra pounds, a full working schedule, and no time to waste, I would not start with motivation. I would start with a system because fat loss isn't about willpower. It is not a discipline problem, but you think it is. It is a structure problem. Now, I help busy men drop 30 to 50 pounds, all without sacrificing their favorite foods or spending hours in the gym or on that stupid treadmill. And in the next 8 to 30 minutes, depending on how much I ramble in today's live stream, I'll show you exactly how I drop 30 pounds in the next 90 days while still working a full-time job and actually having a life outside of the gym. I'm going to give you 3 specific rules, and each one has a step, a story, and a mistake to avoid. So make sure you have a pen and paper handy. Write down some notes because you do not want to be forgetting these 3 very simple rules. Starting with rule number 1, I would build my calories like a grown man and not gas like a beginner. You don't diet, you test and adjust. A lot of people romanticize about their calories and having a set calorie number, but you got to keep in mind that this will be a constantly evolving thing. And it all depends on your activity level, your age, your sex, your height, the time of the month, if you're a female, like all these things come into play in terms of how many calories your body actually requires in order for you to drop body fat. And so the first thing that I want to talk about is your calories, your calorie consumption, the energy you're putting into your body. Because at the end of the day, there is no hack that can override calories in versus calories out. And that is why this is the first most important rule. So first things first, I would find my maintenance calories. This simply means how many calories that you need in order to simply just maintain your body weight. And that's obviously going to differ person to person. Whatever Joe down the street is eating does not mean that you have to eat that exact same amount. If Ronnie Coleman ate 4,000, 5,000 calories, it does not mean that you need to eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories in order to maintain your weight. Once again, we all have different goals, different genetics, different lifestyles, different everything. So make sure that you don't copy what anyone else you see on social media is doing. So here's the very simple starting point I use with busy men. I simply want you to take your body weight in pounds and then multiply it by 15. It is that simple, right? So if you weigh 200 pounds, multiply that by 15, I believe that should give you 3,000 calories. And now this should give you a rough, emphasis on the word rough, estimate of your maintenance calories. It's not going to be a perfect number. It's not going to be like this set in stone thing that's never going to change. Like, once again, it is constantly evolving, but this is just give you a rough idea of how many calories you need to, once again, just maintain your body weight. And now you're going to take this number and for the next 2 weeks, eat this amount of calories. And then while you're doing this, keep track of your weight, see how it fluctuates. And during this 2-week trial experiment, it is very, very important for you to not do anything drastic. So whatever you're currently doing right now, just keep on doing for the next 2 weeks. Don't decide to run a marathon every single day. Don't decide to be a lazy couch potato. Just whatever you're doing right now, if it's going on a couple walks throughout the week, a couple workouts, whatever, keep that the exact same. Because if you're having an unpredictable schedule, if you're constantly doing different things at different times for the next 2 weeks, your body is like, well, what are we doing here? Like one day we're burning 1,000 calories. The next day we're burning 5,000 calories. It's like help your body help you by just keeping things as consistent as possible, at least for the next 1 to 2 weeks, right? Everything the same, and then see how your weight fluctuates. If your weight stays the same, congratulations. You have found your maintenance calories. Now, if your weight goes up during this trial period, you're eating too much. And if it drops, you're already in a deficit. But this is the most important parts that a lot of people just skip. They skip to the hacks, the shortcuts, the different diets, the different protocols. But none of that matters unless you know your actual calorie number. So once you know your true maintenance, I would subtract 500 calories from that number every single day. That puts you close to lose around 1 pound per week. Because for context, 1 pound of fat has 3,500 calories. And so if you want to lose 1 pound of fat every single week, I'd be in a 500 calorie deficit every single day for the next 7 days of the week, right? 5 times 7, 3,500 calories. You should on paper be losing around 1 pound a week. If you want to accelerate the progress, you can put yourself in 1,000 calorie deficits every single week, right? So using the 200-pound meal example, if you weigh 200 pounds, you find your maintenance at 3,000 calories, you can either eat 2,500 calories to put you in a 500-calorie deficit to lose 1 pound per week, or you can put yourself in 1,000-calorie deficit to lose 2 pounds per week, to put you in a 7,000-calorie deficit. And now a lot of people think that, okay, if I found my maintenance calories, why don't I just slash my calories all the way to 0 or down to 1,500 calories, 1,000 calories, and just starve myself? That is not a good idea for a number of different reasons. Number one, you're going to feel like absolute trash. Like, we still require calories. We still require energy to have energy. And if you're crash dieting, if you're just slashing your calories right from the get-go, you're putting yourself at a huge risk of, number one, just having no energy, which no one wants. But secondly, most importantly, there's a huge difference between weight loss and fat loss. I assume if you're watching this video, you want to look good, you want to look healthy, you want to be energetic, and you actually want to reveal some of that muscle that you've hopefully been working towards, and not lose a bunch of weight and lose a bunch of muscle. And so by you putting yourself in a deep calorie deficit, we just see all these weird challenges promote online, you're putting yourself at huge risk of weight loss, which implies that you're both, yes, losing a bit of body fat, but you're also going to be losing body or muscle mass. And that's not what you want. The entire goal of fat loss is to lose just the body fat while maintaining, if not building, some muscle along the way. And you do that by not rushing the process, by not going on a crash diet, by not dropping your calories by too much. Just a slight calorie deficit is all you need. 500 calorie to 1,000 max. I'd cap it like max 1,000 calorie deficit. So if you're 200 pounds, 3,000 calorie maintenance, the max I would do is 2,000 calories. Anything below that, you're just putting yourself at a much greater risk of muscle loss, which is not what we want, right? So let's keep it nice and moderate. Once you know your true maintenance, 500 calorie deficit, lose 1 pound per week. It is predictable, it is sustainable, and there's no chaos there. The most important thing you have to ask yourself is this: can I sustain this way of eating? Can I sustain this way of living? And now, being in a calorie deficit, by nature, it is not meant to be sustained, but you at the very least want to sustain it for however long it takes to lose the 20 pounds or 30 pounds or 50 pounds or however much weight you want to lose while you're in this calorie deficit. Because if you cannot last for generally a couple months, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You're literally like shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. So find an approach, find a calorie target that you can sustain given your current lifestyle, given your current circumstances, just given everything. Some people can get away with a bit of a quicker process, whereas others may need to take their time a bit more. Generally speaking, what I find with all of our clients is that those who really take their time, don't rush their process, and just kind of go through it week by week in a moderate deficit tend to be the most successful. Because here's the thing a lot of people don't care about. They just care about the results. But the ones who actually care about the type of person they're becoming in terms of the habits they build, the systems that they build along this process, those are the ones who are able to far easily maintain the results after their diet ends, which in my opinion is far more important than losing a bunch of weight really quickly, but then not being able to sustain that and then going back to your old habits, back to your old ways, back to your old systems to gain all the weight back again. And that's what you see on all these magazines, right? They show you the flashy 20 pounds lost in 2 weeks, 30 pounds lost in 3 weeks. It sounds amazing. It's really clickbaity. It catches your eye. It catches people's attention. But what they don't show you is the aftermath. What happened to that person afterwards? Where is that person now? They don't show that. Why? Because they're probably embarrassed. They probably gain all the way back again, if not more. Why would they want to showcase that? They only want to showcase the highlights, the results. But once again, I think it's far more impressive if I see someone who lost a bunch of weight and is able to keep that off. Because that shows me that, okay, they've done it the right way. They've built the habits. They've built the systems. They've built the lifestyle around this. Because at the end of the day, if you truly want something long-lasting and sustainable, you have to turn it into a lifestyle. You have to. There's no other way around it. There's no shortcuts. There's no hacks. There's no nothing. right? So most guys don't fail because they eat too much. They fail because they never define the targets. So it is really important to define your calorie targets, because they guess and they think that they are eating better and they try to be good. And then they're shocked when nothing happens. So here is a big mistake to avoid. Once again, slashing your calories right from the get-go. If you start too low, you burn out fast and rebound even faster. So moving on to rule number 2, we talked about the importance of calories and finding your calorie targets. But now that we find your calories, we have to find your macronutrients. And macronutrients are what comprise your calories. So there's 3 main ones. There's actually technically 4, but the 3 main ones that we're concerned about are protein, carbohydrates, and fats. The 4th one is alcohol, but we don't want to be talking about that because that's just not really a good macronutrient to be incorporating into our diets. So I'd set my calories to look good and feel good, because your body doesn't just run on calories, it runs on quality. I lock in 3 numbers. Protein, very easy, very straightforward. A lot of people overcomplicate this with different studies, different mathematical equations. All you need is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. It is simple. A 5-year-old could do it. A 5-year-old could follow it. It is that simple. If you weigh 200 pounds, eat 200 grams of protein. Don't bother estimating your lean body mass. Don't look at, no, you're just adding a lot more confusion. And I would rather you be on the slightly higher end of the protein intake, which 1 gram of protein typically does, than you being at the lower end of the protein intake. Because not only does protein help you preserve, if not build muscle, while you're in a calorie deficit, which is huge, massive, it also has a satiety effect, meaning that it takes longer, far longer for your body to break down and digest protein compared to the other 2 macronutrients, which are carbs and fats. So by you increasing your protein intake, not only are you increasing your chances of maintaining your muscle mass while being in a calorie deficit, you're also just going to be staying fuller for longer. And one of the biggest reasons why most people fail their diet is because they're always hungry. They're always starving. But then when I look a bit closer into their diet, they're like eating no protein. It's like, where's the chicken? Where's the beef? Where's the fish? Where's the Greek yogurt? At the very least, like protein bars, whey protein shakes. Where is it? You're eating sugary bowls of cereals. You're eating what you think is a high quality source of protein in the form of peanut butter or rice and beans. Like, eat quality source of protein. Eat meats if you can, of course. Right? If you have other dietary restrictions, then you're not gonna have to work around it. But nowadays, there's like vegan protein powders, vegan protein blends. There's this fake meats that you can get at grocery stores. No excuses here. Protein, protein, protein. It is essential. And make sure that every single food and meal and snack you consume has a quality source of protein. So once again, it could be chicken, it could be beef, it could be fish, eggs, egg whites, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, low-fat milk, protein bars, protein shakes. Endless foods out there, right? So make a rule to yourself. Every single meal that I eat has to have protein. So once again, 1 gram per pound of body weight. If you weigh 200 pounds, eat around 200 grams of protein. Now, when it comes to the second macronutrient, fats, these are important. These are crucial. Do not neglect your fats. I made the mistake when I first got into fitness that I just neglected my fats, because fats are more calorically dense. They have 9 calories per gram, whereas protein and carbs have 4 calories per gram. So on paper, you just get a bit less volume per calorie for fats than you do for protein and carbs. But it doesn't mean that you should just neglect them, because fats play a crucial role in your endocrine system, your hormones, your testosterone, your estrogen levels, your libido. No matter if you're a male or female, we all need fats. If you put yourself on a low-fat diet, don't be surprised if your hormones and your endocrine system tanks. So you need them. You need them. Think of your avocados, your nuts, your seeds, your oils, even having some eggs, some red meat on occasion, salmon, fatty fish, sardines. Like, these are all great, amazing staples that you should be incorporating into your diet. And at the very least, a bare minimum of 0.4 grams of fat per day, per pound of body weight, sorry. So you're going to simply take your body weight in pounds and multiply it by 0.4. So I believe if you're 200 pounds, multiply it by 0.4, you should get roughly 80 grams of fats per day. That should be your bare minimum. Anything below that, I would not risk. I kind of hover around that mark. Just once again, to keep everything nice and healthy, keep things running smoothly. And fats can also be used as a secondary energy source. So your body's primary source of energy is carbohydrates. And we'll move on that next. We found your protein intake, we found your fat intake, And now with the rest of your calories, you're just going to simply fill with carbohydrates, which once again, your body needs in order to fuel your workouts, but not just your workouts, but then also like your brain power, your work, your day-to-day energy, your recovery too. Like we also need carbohydrates. That is why inside of our program, we don't go on keto diets or restrict certain foods or restrict certain macronutrients for that matter, because we thrive off all of these. We need all of these. There's a reason why human nature created these macronutrients. They created it so we can thrive as human beings and not deprive ourselves. So incorporate all three of them: protein, fats, and carbs. This does three things. Protein keeps muscle and hunger under control. Fat keeps hormones and energy nice and stable. And carbs fuel your training and daily life. And then I make a non-negotiable rule. We talked about the calories, macronutrients, but now let's talk about the micronutrients, which so many people neglect. Even pro bodybuilders. I look at their full day of eating videos, and it's like they're eating chicken, broccoli, and rice. It's like, or no, sorry. They don't usually they don't add their broccoli. They eat chicken, rice, and they add a source of fat, maybe some olive oil. It's like, okay, great. But where's the fruits? Where are the veggies? Non-existent. Even pro bodybuilders don't do this. So every single meal, it is a non-negotiable rule for me. I either add fruits and or vegetables or both. And I don't do this for fat loss reasons. I do this for better energy, better digestion, because fruits and veggies typically have a lot of fiber, and we need fiber as well for digestion, and also to get the vitamins and minerals into our body and to actually feel and look good in your body. Don't skip out on your fruits and veggies. Every meal, once again, should have protein, but it should also have a good quality source of fiber in the form of fruits and or veggies. Now, most men think fat loss is about looking better, which it is, but I kind of view fat loss as a byproduct of that, because what actually keeps them consistent is feeling better. If you feel better and then you look better as a byproduct of that, I mean, yeah, that's a nice little win, right? But focus on feeling better, and typically you looking better will come as a result of that, right? You'll have better sleep, better workouts, and better mood. And now that comes from micronutrients and not just from a calorie number, because you could have two people eating the exact same amount of calories, being in a calorie deficit. One of them could eat nothing but highly processed foods, Pop-Tarts, McDonald's, junk food, and the other person could eat mainly whole foods, 80% whole foods, maybe 20% junk food. And their macronutrients are dialed in, they're eating their fruits, they're eating their vegetables. The person who's doing that compared to the person who doesn't is going to feel a lot better. It's probably going to look a lot better, because when you feel better, you have better workouts, you have better sleep, you have better digestion, you have better recovery. And with all these better things, you're going to be able to probably work out better, right? Recover better, sleep better. And these are all things associated with better results. So just because you can on paper eat a bunch of junk food, eat donuts, eat fries, eat burgers, why would you do that? You're not going to feel the best. You're going to feel sluggish. You're probably going to have bad skin. You're going to have poor digestion, poor recovery, poor sleep. Your output isn't going to be the same. And not only that, you're just going to be craving all this junk food now, which makes it 10 times harder for you to stick to your calorie deficit. So over the long run, for most successful dieters, what we found is that those who actually eat healthy, minimally processed foods, lean proteins, healthy fats, good quality carbs, whole grains, fruits and veggies, tends to feel a lot better throughout the process, look a lot better throughout the process, and maintain the weight loss, as opposed to those who do the flexible dieting approach, junk food every single day, fried foods every single day. They're inevitably going to fall off eventually, because they're now eating all this junk food, and studies have shown that we crave the food we eat the most. So if you're always eating junk food, don't be surprised if you're always craving it all the time. And if you're always craving it and having it all the time, your urges to binge and cheat on your diet are going to be a lot more likely, right? It's like, you don't hear people binge on apples. It's very difficult to do as well. I've tried. I love apples. Like I think the max I've done was like 6 in a sitting. And then after that, that's like what, 400 calories? I'm stuffed. I was stuffed for the rest of the day. Whereas if you turn it into 6 apple pies, I mean, that's like 6,000 calories right there. Far easier to overdo on the calories, to binge and to cheat. So here are a couple of mistakes to avoid. Eating like a robot. If your meals feel like punishment, your plan won't survive real life. And now the last rule here is I'd move more without beating up my recovery. Now, here's what I mean by that. Fat loss loves steps, and muscle loves recovery. And so I'd push my daily step counts to an average 10 to 12,000 steps every single day. And now you're probably surprised that I'm not promoting you to run a marathon every single day, go on runs, or do HIIT workouts on the treadmill. Nope, none of that. Just walking. Anyone can do it at any time. It doesn't beat up your joints, doesn't beat up your connective tissues. It is very sustainable. Anyone can do it over the long run. So why? Because walking burns more calories without interfering with your training. Which leads me on to the training part, right? Because then I'd resistance train 3 times per week. I do just 3 workouts. That's all you need. A lot of people think you need to spend 6 days in the gym for 2 hours plus. That cannot be further from the truth. 1 full body workout, 1 lower body workout, and 1 upper body workout. Hitting each muscle group 2 times per week, in and out in 45-minute sessions. That is all you need. I'd stick to the basic compound lifts, squats, presses, rows, hinges, and pull-ups. And then every single week, I'd aim for progressive overload, adding an extra rep, adding 5 more pounds to the bar, or improving my form. That right there is how your body changes. By just sticking to the basics, the fundamentals, and doing that over a long period of time. The guys who chase sweat chase exhaustion, but the guys who chase progression chase results. So a couple mistakes to avoid. Turning fat loss into punishment. This should feel like training for a better version of you and not paying for your past mistakes. And now here's the real secret before ending today's live stream. We talked about calories, macronutrients, micronutrients, cardio, and training. These are the fundamentals. These are the building blocks of what you need to lose 30 pounds in the next 90 days. But none of this matters. None of it matters unless you realize this. I'd build systems and not rely on willpower. Willpower is not something to rely upon. It is a finite resource, and we all have a limited amount of it. You may have some of it, but it won't always be there for you. Just like motivation. Willpower and motivation are not things to rely upon, especially when it comes to sustainable results in fat loss, in business, in relationships. Like, you're not always going to feel motivated to stay in your relationship, to go on date nights, to stay in business. Like, no, of course not. We're all human. We all have different emotions. Just like with fitness, we're not always going to be motivated to stick to our calorie deficit, to do our workouts, because we're human, right? But then those who actually succeed on this are the ones who don't rely on that and actually build systems and habits instead. So this isn't about discipline. It is about design. How can you create this lifestyle? How can you create this environment to make fat loss inevitable, make it automatic? So a couple things. Same breakfast, same grocery list, same training days, same walking routine. When your life is this structured, your results become automatic. So for 90 days, I wouldn't try to be perfect. I would just try to be consistent. And consistency always beats intensity. Those who go very intense right from the get-go burn themselves out very quickly. But those who just take it one step at a time, just focus on being consistent, will always surpass and beat and lap the guys who focus on intensity. Now, if you want my exact calorie setup, my macronutrient framework, and my training plan and daily habit system, I give it all away for free inside of my free fat loss group, which is literally designed for busy men who want to drop 30 to 50 pounds, all without sacrificing their favorite food or spending hours in the gym. The link will be in the description down below to join the group. And I'll help you map out your next 90 days step by step. Now, to wrap things up, you don't need a new diet. You don't need more motivation. You need a system that you can live with. That is it. Focus on systems. Once your system is set in place, results will become inevitable. They'll just fall in place. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace.